All right, guys, so we're going to get going.
So let's do the intro for this too.
Hey, guys, welcome to Saturday Mornings with Pace and Jesse. Today we've got a special guest, Matt Larson, good friend and a fellow disciple of good old friend Mark Evans out there in Florida.
Yep.
What market are you currently operating in?
Right in Iowa, Davenport, Iowa, the Quad Cities.
Love it. So Quad Cities, Davenport, Iowa. Here's what's really cool. Just recently we had a mastermind put together by Steve Trang. We spent about 5 hours together breaking down everybody's businesses, what's working, what's not working. And one thing really stood out to me is you said a line in that mastermind. You said, I went from working 80 hours a week to basically 4 hours a week. And the premise of our show today is we're going to be talking about how to get your life back as an entrepreneur. So let's jump into it.
Okay.
Tell me, where are you at right now in your business? And then we're going to work backwards. How did you do that? And where are you at right now? How many hours are you spending in your business?
I have multiple businesses, but I have a big single family home flipping business, okay? In that business, we flip 20 to 30 houses a month. That business, I spend about 5 to 10 hours a week, tops. I do one meeting a week, so I'm not in the office all week. I work from home. I have an 18,000 square foot office with 40 employees in the office, but I'm only there for one meeting a week for 2 hours.
Love it.
The rest of the time, that the 3 to 8 hours left, I'm just looking at a dashboard or getting updates on a big picture, like this is what's happening in the company.
Very cool. Are you running that meeting, or is somebody running it and you're participating?
I'm not running the meeting. I'm participating in the meeting.
How liberating is that?
I can't wait for that day for myself. But like going back to, meeting you on Thursday, like my biggest take out of everybody was kind of what we're gonna get into is like I thought my system game was pretty good and so was his. And then I got extremely humbled because of like how you've streamlined the stuff that we're going to talk about is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, to that point, a lot of people say to me, they go, wow, I'm jealous of your back end and I have a partner that's my integrator. Everybody's jealous that I have this particular partner. Same with him. He's got a partner that everybody's jealous of. When I was sitting in that room, I go, man, this guy took the last year of his life and catapulted to a whole nother level of systems. And so that's primarily what we're talking about today, guys. We've actually got a guest, one of the TTP alumni, outside of the studio sitting out there. And he spent all day long with me yesterday. And I think he's the typical entrepreneur. He's the guy that is doing everything in his business, and he thinks working hard is the right way to go. And he feels good, like I'm working, grinding. Isn't that your background too? Like
yes.
grinding your ass off all the way through your life?
Yes. Well, first of all, just to back up, if somebody would have told me I was so hardcore, work 80 plus, 90, 100 hours, 7 days a week, if somebody would have told me a year ago that what I'm doing right now is possible, I would have said, you're a liar.
Right.
Not possible.
Right.
Can't be done. So the fact, I guess I say that because I don't want the audience to think, this guy's full of crap. There's just no way. We'll get into the details on how it happened and how the audience can, your viewers can take some of the stuff that we talk about and implement as well. But I was a disbeliever in the fact that it was possible. So yes, I felt guilty if I was working 80, 90 hours a week and there was one day in the course of that week where I was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I feel like I think I'm done for the day. I felt guilt.
Yeah, you'd probably go find more work to do.
I'd get so fidgety, I'd have to go find something else to do.
Right.
Yeah, that's the mule mindset of I got to be doing. It's tough. There's an internal battle going on in your mind. You have to first justify the fact that you're allowed or you should have the ability not to work every day.
Right.
We're taught from the time we're little, this is what you do to earn money, and you clock in at this time, you go to school at this time, and you're so programmed into thinking that you have to be doing all the time that it's tough to step out of it. So the process in which to do it is simpler than the mindset shift that you have to go through that says I'm allowed to do it.
This is why, so we have a good friend named Jamil Damji, okay? So Jamil is a mindset guy. But he feels like, it's interesting just having internal conversations with him, he feels like I don't think people get as much value from the mindset side as what you guys are bringing on system side. And I'm like, dude, it's the opposite. The systems are somewhat easy as long as somebody can hold your hand, but that internal battle of the mindset, I feel like changing that paradigm and what you've been able to do, which is, I would say 100% of entrepreneurs, except for millennials, they're kind of taught don't work.
Yeah.
Right? They're kind of taught like be lazy from day one and figure it out. So I'm envious of them to a certain degree. But most of us that are, I'd say 45 to 28, somewhere in that, we battle that mule mindset. So the mindset side is way stronger. So what was your first introduction to solving that?
So 6 months ago, so I was scrolling through Facebook one day. I saw this ad to go to this event with Mark Evans. And I'm like, okay, $1,000 or whatever, $2,000, whatever, I don't even remember. But I clicked it because I'm thinking, I'm big into education. I always want to learn something. In 2019, I spent $90,000 total on my education. So anytime I can learn something from somebody, I'm all ears. So I see this event. I meet Mark after the event was done. He's like, you should join my mastermind. And I'll be honest with you, I thought the mastermind was going to be very tactical. Most masterminds are.
Right.
Go in here, learn how we can improve your response rate on this piece of direct mail, or this is the script to use on cold calling that's now converting it. And I was very surprised that it wasn't that. The Mark has a saying, magician or mule, magician versus mule. And so that was my first concept. But I was like, I've been in real estate 14 years, and I was so hardcore one side that you couldn't get to what I've achieved right now as far as time wise. I didn't think it was possible. So I didn't necessarily believe him until I started talking to him more and he opened up my mind, and I saw he was living it as well. So then the job became, how do I become a magician every day I get up? What can I do? What can I do to step out of the business one step at a time? You don't do it. It's not going to happen like that.
No,
I did a little bit every single day for 6 months.
And I'm sure you're still working on it.
All the time.
Right.
Like, so you can have multiple businesses. And if you've got, like all of us do, right?
Yeah.
We have a real estate business. You might have an education business. You might have
You've got your property management company.
Yeah. You can be a mule in one business and just be grinding it out because maybe it's new, or maybe you haven't built all the systems yet, or maybe you don't have the right people. But another business, you could have everything set up and it's totally hands off, and it's like, okay, I got 4 hours this week to work on this business. What's going on? Okay, you get your updates and you're back out. Right. So you don't automatically become, basically a self-operating company the minute you start a company. Even after you figure out how to do it, you build a new company, you have to get momentum in that company before you can hand that off and start building systems.
I made a post, so I'm glad that you feel the same way. I tell people all the time, you can't work smart until you work hard.
Right.
So you have to start out bootstrap, low budget. I'm the young guy that has no money. I'm knocking doors, whatever it is, and I start that way.
Yep.
Then when I get a little bit of momentum, you don't wait too long.
No.
You immediately then start saying, how do I work smart? Mm-hmm. And then unfortunately, because you work smart, another opportunity comes and you got to go work hard again. That's what you're talking about.
Right, because so in my case, I started some education, right? And basically I did it out of, like, I got to find something to do.
Because you offloaded your other business.
Yeah,
you got to a point where you're a magician in that business.
Yes.
And now you got some extra time.
Right. And to make it even worse, if you build the right team and the right processes, my team didn't want me at the office for the real estate company, the house flipping business. Mm-hmm. Because I would show up, like, I'm bored today, I'm going to go show up and walk around the office, and then I would see something happen or hear a conversation, I'd step in, hey guys, you're doing it wrong. And then my ops guy would have to yell at me and say, Matt, you're screwing this thing up for me, man. I changed that process 2 months ago.
So instead of being a mule, you were actually a jackass.
Yes, exactly. And I realized then that's very, very difficult. So the challenge is, how do you do it and still maintain control?
Love it.
So what we did was we built a dashboard that I could, I don't have to, it's like you're driving your car. You don't have to be under the hood as the car's going down the road, making sure all the components are working. You're sitting in the seat, you're watching the gauges. Okay, we're good. Temperature's good. Everything else is good. We're good. We're running where we should be. The problem is before, when I was involved in everything, I'm looking at every single KPI in the company, which there's hundreds of them,
Right.
versus these 5 or 10 KPIs that I should be paying attention to.
Love it.
And that's where that's one of the first transition pieces to go from working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, being involved in everything, is first you've got to discover, okay, I gotta trust my team. I gotta trust that the KPIs I'm looking at are what I can do. And that's very, very difficult. It's kind of like, our businesses are like kids. We start these things from zero. They're an infant.
Right.
And we grow them up, and it's like, your kid's 18 years old, and now it's time to go to college. It's, there's a lot of tears going out
Oh
when
my
you
gosh,
send
yeah.
your kids off. That's the same thing here. It's scary. So that was a big piece too, and that took some time to get my mental state right, that I was able to do that.
Right.
So speaking on that, I'm not allowed in my sales meetings anymore.
Love that.
At all.
You became the jackass, so they kick
Right.
you out?
Yeah, because I wasn't giving, speaking on what you're saying, is I have very good leadership in that role.
Mm-hmm.
And I come in and me and him are having conflicting, ways to do things. And so now we have a meeting twice a week, Monday and Friday, for a half hour. And he says, so Monday we put together training. Friday he says what they're doing good, what they're not doing good at, and then we decide what he's going to train on.
Mm-hmm.
And I've spent money on him, Josh. He
Right.
he goes to
Love Josh.
Sandler training, and I put the training in front of him for his education. I have to trust that the education I want him to have, he's going to relay back to our team, and it's really, really important because I learned very quickly kind of what you're talking about is I'm just making it worse instead of making it better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm slowly starting to give up the control. Where we're struggling too is how have you built out your leadership? Because we have some leadership in some places, but we're still lacking that in others.
So that's a good question. So first of all, you got to have the right people in the room. That's step one. And what we're really big on core values. Okay, I really don't care. We don't. Resumes come in. We don't say, well, this guy had a 4.0 GPA, and this guy's only got a 3.5, so let's go with this guy here.
Right.
I don't, to be honest with you, and I'm sure we, in some parts of the company, when it comes to accounting, that stuff's a little bit more important. But for a lot of the leadership roles, it's not a what's your experience. It's more of a core value piece.
Yep.
Because these core values have to be aligned with yours in order for, one, you to like the people you're working with, and two, to trust them.
Yeah.
So, you can have somebody that's really smart and that's a good fit for that position, but if you don't jive, that's never going to work out. You know what I mean?
So that's one thing I actually took from you from Thursday is for our ads for hiring, I'm going to rewrite everything to be based around our core values. And then Brent Daniels posted something on P. Diddy and Ray Dalio did this interview the other day, and they were hammering on the exact same things that you're talking about. So I hear you say it, then I hear these guys say it, I'm like, okay. Because I only hire people that I do like. It's more important is, people that are consistent, people that you want to be around, and people that you can see grow. I would rather have someone that I guess ultimately is consistent than is very talented that has all these up and downs.
I've got a couple questions for you.
Yep.
Off IG. That's why I got up there and wasn't trying to be rude, but I wanted to get a couple questions in here from people watching.
Yeah.
Xavier, who's a good buddy of the show, wants to know what's your major workout program because your guns are huge.
I had so I built a badass gym in my house. I had Reflex Fitness come in a couple years ago and build this total custom. So my gym, every once in a while you'll see on my IG in the morning, I'll do a quick video. It's like quality of a health club type thing. We got all the best stuff right in my house. So I literally walk downstairs in the morning at 5:30. My trainer meets me at my house, and he trains me. So I bring in a trainer and stuff, and he gives me
Love that. So another question. It sounds like you know what you're talking about. This dashboard that you're talking about, what is that dashboard and who helped you build it?
So the dashboard, so let me back up. So 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, we were messing around with Plecto.
Oh, yeah.
and we didn't have the right guys working on it at that time. So we went away from it. And then we built, if you guys have ever heard of Smart Sheets, Smart Sheets is where it's built right now.
Okay.
We have a smart, and it's all, and my ops guy built every piece of it. So
I went to Smart Sheets. For anybody that doesn't know Smart Sheets, it's like Google Sheets or Excel, but like
on steroids.
And then you inject rocket fuel, right?
Yes.
It's insane. I failed at it, and the reason being is, you know why? Because I tried to do it myself.
Yeah, I've never programmed a single sheet, and we run them all throughout our whole company. It tracks data like crazy. But to go back, I love the Smart Sheet setup. We are going to revisit Plecto again and integrate it into Podio.
Why?
Yeah.
Mainly because everything in my company's Podio now.
Right.
You know, we've spent probably $100,000 building out our Podio system throughout the years.
Right.
I mean, we used to have a programmer we were paying $150 an hour that I had on retainer from California. And so, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's property management, turnovers, rehabs, our key room, our maintenance system, our warehouse, everything in our company, our acquisitions, dispositions, everything, it runs through Podio.
So just for people, most real estate investors know what Podio is, but there are people that do watch that they don't, right? So Podio is a CRM. So basically,
let's go back even further. What's a CRM?
Go for it.
Customer relationship management. It's like keeping track of, we could almost do an hour just on this subject, but
Absolutely.
Well, you actually are. You're going to be in another show after this with Rafael Cortez, CEO Pulse, and he's like the Podio guy, and you're the
nice.
Podio guys. You guys are going to be talking Podio heavy.
To hear this one.
So imagine this. I'm going to break it down to like super, super simple. Let's say you want to build up your real estate company and start doing some real deals. Not one a month. We're talking you want to get 1 to 2 to 5 to 10. If you do it right, you market, right? Marketing is the oxygen of your company. So imagine you drive a whole bunch of leads into your company. Now, without a CRM, you got a yellow pad. Okay, this guy just called me. Okay, let's write his name down. Okay, let's fill out a piece of paper on what he has to sell.
Oh yeah. I know a lot of guys using Google Docs.
Yes.
Or Excel sheets.
Excel sheets. Yeah.
Yeah. So then let's say you do that and you got 300 leads that come in for the week or whatever.
How are you going to manage it?
How are you going to, like, most of our deals, 75% of the deals we do, we originally talk to them months prior.
Follow-up.
Yes, it's follow-up. It's a follow-up game. How are you going to follow up on leads automatically or systematically if you don't have a CRM? If you want to get serious about doing a lot of deals, you got to have a CRM. We just got in deep with Podio, and I spent so much money over the years programming it that we built it to do everything. And so now, the next step for me, if I ever went away from Podio, it would be in my own software. We would take the Podium platform we built, hand it off to a software engineer like what you guys do, and say, hey, customize this and build our own thing so we could sell it.
So that's Podio. Now, Podio is kind of like the way you drew up the analogy about an engine and all the tires and how the car works. However, Plecto is the dashboard that you look at to tell you what every part is doing. And
Correct.
somebody I know that really crushes it on Plecto and has set theirs up really well is Cody Hoffine up in Utah. So when you go in his office, his Plecto is on a massive plasma
I love that.
LED TV. His entire company sees the Plecto dashboard all the time, not just him.
I love that.
So why was Plecto hard for you to set up in the original part? Was it because you didn't have the right developer at the time?
I think I didn't have the right guy setting it up for us.
But now you do.
But now I do.
Awesome.
And so we're just like, we literally just sat in a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and the meeting we were in, the guy that we were talking to was real big on Plecto, and he pulled his phone out and he's showing me, and I'm like, whoa, this is what I need.
Right.
So my ops guy and my programmer are now trying to say, okay, here's what we're doing in Smart Sheets. Let's push it back into
So that's
Plecto.
Going back to a couple of things we talked at the very, very beginning. That's the power of networking, and that's the power of being in high-level meetings and paying sometimes for education. Because some of the people you met in Mark Evans' event, I'm sure you guys are still friends. You're trading ideas at a very high level
all the time. I paid $10,000 for that meeting for 3 hours.
It'll be completely worth your money.
Oh, I'll make 10x my money back in 90 days.
And get part of your life back in terms of having
Right.
Plecto as your dashboard.
Right. It's just going to save me more time. Maybe I can cut that 5 to 10 hours down to like 2 hours.
Love that. One more question, and I'd love
Yep.
to get into this. So, REI takeover. Can you ask Matt if he had the opportunity to go bigger sooner, commercial apartments specifically, I guess, would he have done it sooner rather than later?
That's a great question. I probably would have. And here's why. It's again, you're talking about your time, your leverage, right? With apartments. So we buy and hold, we sell turnkey,
Right.
we fix and flip. And I've been doing a lot of small apartment buildings in that 10 to, let's say, 24 range. And what we found is you can buy and hold those and cash flow them nicely, but you can also wholesale those. You can flip them.
Right.
Yeah.
And in my area, I live in an area with 500,000 people, a little less than that. And in the average, a starter home's $125,000.
Yeah.
And when you do a wholesale deal, you make $5,000 to $10,000.
Right.
On average, that's your average one. Now, I'm not saying you can't hit a home run every once in a while, but an apartment building that's a 24-unit building, 12-unit building, you can make 6 figures.
Are you building these or just like re-wholesaling them? Or
We're-
I guess
yeah,
what exactly are you?
I'm just saying if I buy them right and wholesale them off,
So you'll contract them.
yes, you can double close or assign the contract and make 50 to 100 grand, where on a house,
That's-
5 to 10,000. So if to answer his question, yes, I absolutely would have, because I would have been focusing more on, okay, I got to do 10 to 20 houses or one apartment wholesale wise to make the same amount of money. And what I discovered was I was intimidated by apartments a long time ago because I thought, well, it's complicated and the numbers are so big and it's scary. What I found is it's not any more work to wholesale a small apartment building than it is to wholesale a house. In fact, it might be easier.
I would say it's easier for the simple fact that the people you're selling to are players. They're going to buy.
100%.
That they're not going to fuck around.
No.
You give them something and they're not going to beat you up on the price like a low level fix and flipper, or you don't have to educate them on the process.
They're an investor. They're
Right.
a true investor. Yes.
So let's go back. Tell us what businesses you're currently running and tell us what your 2020 goal is so people know where you're currently at. And then I'd like to go back to the day you woke up and said, I'm going to start working on these systems.
So I do, the single family homes. I sell a lot of turnkey. I do some retail flips.
Tell people what turnkey are. It's
So-
amazing. It's amazing. Like you get the same question. We were talking about this last
Yeah.
night at dinner. People will ask, what's
Yeah. They don't know.
what's skip tracing mean? And you're like, wait, what? You've been
Yeah.
following me for like 6 months.
Right.
So,
So
what is that? Turnkey.
So turnkey is, let's say I live in the Midwest, and the Midwest is kind of known within the United States. The Midwest is known for cash flow. You got cheaper houses and higher rents.
Right.
And so where like if you lived in California, a starter home, almost like a tear down's like 600 grand, or in my area, you can buy a house for $50,000, $40,000 that needs work.
Yeah.
So the California house that's $500,000 or $600,000 might only rent for $2,500 a month or $3,000.
Right.
Where that house in Iowa, well, that I can buy it for $50,000, put $40,000 in it. Now it's worth $120,000. It might rent for $1,200. So there's cash flow. So what happens is if you live in California and you want cash flow properties, you can't get them in your backyard.
Right.
So you got to buy them in the Midwest. The problem is a lot of the people that want those properties, they're busy. They're busy business people. They're doctors. They're entrepreneurs. They make good money and they don't have time to say, hey, I got to find a location in Iowa I'm going to buy. I got to find a contractor to go in there and rehab it. Then I got to find tenants, and then I got to manage the thing. They don't want to do it, so they'll hire somebody like me to do the turnkey for them.
So ultimately, I guess to paraphrase this is, you're buying a house. You personally are buying a house. You're fixing, flipping it, and then you're selling it to this investor, putting a renter in there, and then they're cash flowing every single month.
Correct.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I love turnkey, it's a tough business. There's a lot of people out there that do it wrong, but if you do it right, it's great. The problem with turnkey is, or the great thing about turnkey is,
then you're managing it for them too.
Right. So when I did retail flips, when that was my primary business, I would buy the house, fix it up, sell it, get paid. Done. Never get paid again. If I do turnkey, I can buy the house, fix it up, sell it, get paid, and then turn around and manage it and get paid every single month on management fees.
Brilliant.
And the best part about that is I'm managing it. I sold it to this investor. If he's not collecting cash flow, he's never buying another one from me again.
Right.
So it's in my best interest to make sure we do an amazing job managing it so that he collects his cash flow and he says, hey, I want another one this month.
There you go.
Love it.
That's like the guys that are doing turnkey that sell the house and then hand it to a different management company. I just don't. That model's tough to make work.
On the property management thing, I know this is probably why you and Steve went an hour and a half yesterday, is because you have so much gold up in that brain. We need to get it out. While we're on that topic of project management or property management, tell everybody how Podio has changed your property management system in terms of you used to be 10 to 15% of Lowe's purchases in your local area. So you got fed up with it, and you went and created your own warehouse for your own property management.
Right. So what happened was I was having a conversation a few years ago. This is like early 2017. I was having a conversation with the main store manager at this Lowe's that I was buying a lot of product from. And we were spending $2.2 million a year with that particular Lowe's on just buying materials to fix up houses. I knew that because he told me that. He knew exactly what...
Sorry. Should be good.
He knew exactly what our spend was. So is that good, or we need to? Good. So anyway, he knew what our spend was. So he told me, he goes, "You're 2.2 million," and he goes, "We do about 22 million a year in sales at this Lowe's." And I started thinking,
You're
I'm
10%.
10% of your business. I said, we need to sit down and have a meeting and start discussing a better rate.
There's not many people that can go to a Lowe's or a Home Depot and say, I'm 10% of the revenue that goes through that door.
Right.
That's
so,
insane.
So I literally called a meeting, and he brought in a bigger person. They sat me down and they just said, Matt, we can't give you a better price. Let me show you all these other services we can do. We can't give you a better price. Our everyday price is the best price.
Our everyday price for every other human being on the planet.
Right. So I'm paying, at this time, I'm paying the same price for materials off the shelf as the
Grandma
guy,
Smith.
Yeah, doing a little remodel project at our house. So I got mad. I went back to my team and I said, we are going to figure out how to buy materials at a discount. So I rented a small little 3,500 square foot warehouse real close to where my office is right now. And we brought a carpenter over. We built shelves out of 2x4s and plywood. I took one of the people in my accounting and said, hey, your job is now here's our 2.2 million spend with Lowe's. Take this and start bidding it out. And we went to places like Wilmar and HD Supply and Amazon Business, and we started quoting it, and we let Lowe's quote it, we let Home Depot, Menards, and we just basically what happened was this company was really good and was cheapest on these things. This company was the best on these. So we had multiple companies, but what I told everybody was, listen, I'm going to put $100,000 to $200,000 worth of material on my shelf, so I'm going to do bulk orders, and I'm going to pay for it up front at the time I order. So you're going to get all of it up front. You don't have to worry about billing. And then I'm going to put all this on my shelf. So you're going to get large bulk orders. And I'm going to lock my price in for a year.
And then, so you're basically selling it to yourself, right?
Right.
Okay.
Correct. So we did this. And it was amazing what happened. We saved $40,000 the first month.
$40,000 your first month. So it paid for all the overhead, the warehouse,
Everything.
all the stuff that you put into it. So a lot of people listening to the story are going to say, oh my gosh, that must cost so much money. I can't go get a warehouse. Granted, I get that. But the reality is you went out and saved more money than it actually cost you by creating your own system around it.
Right.
He saw the big picture.
Right.
So what happened was this little 3,500 square foot warehouse, I literally came back 30 days later after I had gotten the girl running it and going, because I basically got her started. I left, went back and did my thing.
Right.
I come back 30 days later. She's like, Matt, we don't have any more room. And we're like, stuff is like, I mean, you're like scooting sideways through the building to try to get to the front to the back. There's no room left. She's like, we need another building. And at that time, we had only ordered like 300 or 400 SKUs. So I literally called my commercial broker. I found a building, 18,000 square feet, made an offer, and got one under contract within a couple weeks, bought it 30 days later, which is where my office is now. So now we have this big, expansive warehouse.
Love it.
You know, we brought in an engineering firm with racking to put the racks in the perfect place, you know, and run them all the way up to the ceiling. And now we have 2,400 SKUs.
Well, check this out. I've been a contractor for a long time, and you and I feel the pain of a guy he goes to a house. There's something wrong with the garbage disposal, the hot water heater, or whatever, and all the fittings included. He puts a list together. What does he do? He goes down to Home Depot or Lowe's. He spends an hour screwing around in all the aisles and all that kind of stuff. Maybe even, you know, buys a couple snacks, hangs out.
Yep.
It costs full retail or, you know, whatever the everyday price.
Yep.
That's the typical thing. Then they have to go to the counter and call somebody in your office to get it paid for. And that takes a minute. Sometimes we miss the call and they got to call 3 or 4 times. They got to get out of the line, get back in the line, blah, blah, blah.
And there's 10 cash registers and one register open, so you're waiting in line for an hour to get to that point.
So now what is your new system now that you've got the Matt Larson warehouse?
So now we run all this through Podio.
Guys, he runs a freaking warehouse through Podio.
So what happened was
insane.
we've built all these different systems within Podio, but we know during acquisition phase, we do a blueprint of the property, okay? And that blueprint then spits out based on, we have the same scope of work on every house. It's literally like McDonald's, right? It's the same flooring, same paint, same lights, same countertops, everything is all the same. So once we have the layout of the house and build a blueprint, that gets inputted into Podio. Podio then spits out our material list.
Wow.
So when the contractor goes in there, he says, okay, during this phase, I need these items. So he sends that over to the warehouse through our online portal. We built an online store. Once they get a login, they fill it out on our online store, it gets submitted. So then that goes to the warehouse manager, and she okays that with the project manager that's running.
Obviously, she's getting notified.
Mm-hmm. She gets an automatic notification. And then the project manager gets through Podio, gets notified at the same time, and you get a notification, okay, you need to approve this order. Okay, hit the button, approved. So then now that order goes in and has to be pulled. So they go through the shelves, pull all the items, they put them on a cart. At the very end, they batch the cart in a specific location and then hit complete through Podio. Then that sends a text message to the contractor, your order's ready. So the contractor comes into the warehouse, rings the door buzzer for the overhead door, backs in, we load him, he drives away, he's gone.
Love it.
Okay, so we obviously have a lot of new people that follow. I'm live too, you're live. So like, I guess what would the biggest take like to someone new, like to, you know, to start, because we talked about this a lot on Thursday, to start building out your company. Like, what's advice that you would give them for systems and how to go about starting to build them?
So here's the thing that I've learned. One is, you can, I'm real big on virtual assistants, okay? It's not expensive to hire virtual assistants. Where I see people go wrong though, is a new person will say, I want that $1 an hour virtual assistant or the $2 an hour. We typically go to the $5, $6, $7 an hour people.
Right.
Now I will say, you know, Tim Ferriss actually made virtual assistants. He
the 4-hour work week.
He blew it up.
Yes.
And when he did that book, his book, The 4-Hour Work Week, came out like 12, 14 years ago.
Right.
And back then, I really don't think virtual assistants were that good. They weren't skilled, they weren't trained, they really didn't know what they're doing. So a lot of people tried them 5, 10 years ago, had a bad experience, and now won't use them again. That's a mistake. 10 years later, these virtual assistants are good. They're robotic, they're well trained, they know the systems.
And they care.
They actually care. They love the jobs.
Right.
They don't quit, and you don't have any office drama.
To that point, office drama huge, but to that point about people that are reluctant to hire a VA because they go, well, I don't really know, are they going to be good or they're not going to be good. I'm in the same position. Our company, we're not hiring any more in-states employees. Everybody's going to be VAs. Mm-hmm. But if I need another VA, like somebody calls me and goes, hey, how do I find a VA? I go, here's what I'll do. I'll text one of my VAs and say, hey, do you have a friend that is ready for some more work? The whole industry in the Philippines or in Colombia or El Salvador, there's major industry now around being VAs because of the movement of taking that labor offshore.
Yep.
So these guys, they're friends with each other. They all, like, my VA will know a website builder, an accountant, a this and a that will do all of it through text message and email.
Yep. And so let's say for example, your current VA, you don't have a VA, so you don't have one to ask. We run the same process through hiring anybody we do with VAs. We actually interview them. We actually do a real interview. But here's the most important piece when it comes to a VA. It's like writing a program, a computer program. If you take a computer programmer and he writes a computer program for the computer and he's got a bug in that, he doesn't have a good program, there's a few bugs and it doesn't work right, it's not the computer's problem. It's the programmer messed up.
Right.
The same with your VA. If you write out a process, a step-by-step process, and you skip a few steps and then hand that over to the VA and the VA messes it up and you're like, man, I have to follow up, they didn't do this. That's not the VA's problem. That's your problem. You wrote a bad program.
Right.
So we get super granular on the processes. Step by step by step by step. You don't miss anything. There's a script for every step. Screenshots of if they're jumping from screen to screen, what it should look like, how to get from one screen to the other. Literally arrows. You can't mess it up. If it's done right, you can take a system that you've created for a VA, and in 10 minutes they're an expert. And then the cool part is now we have had some VAs for a little while. So if I ask my VA, hey, do you know anybody else? And she says, no, I don't have anybody else for that job. I say, here's my step-by-step process for hiring a VA.
Right.
And I let her hire my VAs. So we let the VAs screen and hire the new VAs because they're the ones that are going to train them anyway.
Right.
Well, what's amazing about them too is we have one that started with all of our batch companies. He was our first employee. They move up the ranks too. Now he's testing like our new products and services and doing back end stuff. Like these people are smart people, brilliant people,
100%.
And it's so cool because they're moving up through the management ranks on the VA side. Now he's leading a team and he's doing all these things. Like it's incredible if you treat people right and build out good tools and processes. That these people are thriving now too. And he lives in, I believe he's somewhere in India. Mm-hmm. I think we pay him like $15 an hour. Like we pay him a lot.
Which $15 an hour in India is a ton of money.
Oh
that's like making $100,000 here.
Right.
You know, my VA, we started the long-term VA that I had, the longest one that's been there. She's been there 4 years with us. We started she was making $1 or $2 an hour.
Right.
Now she's making $10 an hour.
Yeah.
She's the richest person in her village.
Yeah.
Correct.
And she's happy. She is a total company, like she loves the company, loves being part of it, works hard, does whatever you need. And so I think a lot of people, to your point, think that these aren't human beings.
Yeah, it's
no,
it's
they're
a
not,
VA.
Yeah, no, they're a human
Yes.
being. They have the capabilities that you or I have.
Correct.
It's just you find the right one. If somebody doesn't work out, and if your system truly is really good and it's step by step and it doesn't miss a beat, and they're not good at urgency, or like one of my big core values is sense of urgency. Like if somebody emails you, you get back to them quickly, right? That's just good customer service. If they're slow to respond, okay, so maybe they don't have good core values. I messed up hiring them. Okay, let them go. The best part is there's no human resources fiascos when you let a VA go. They're not an employee. They're a service that you hire.
Great point. So you brought something up the other day. I've got 5 questions I got to purge out of here real quick after I bring this up. So you brought this up about how July 4th, 2019, was it last year?
Yep.
Tell us what happened that day.
So I'm getting ready to go on vacation, and I get a text message. 5 key employees all quit at the same time. And why that happened was...
Are these VAs?
No, these were in-office people. And VAs don't quit. So one person, I brought somebody back into the company that other person in my company didn't want. So she went around and said, hey, I'm mad. I don't want this guy back in the company. Why don't you quit, you quit, you quit. And she was the ringleader, got 4 other people to quit. And the cool part is that's a terrible situation when you have 5 key people leave your company all in one, no notice, I'm out, I'm gone.
Right.
Now, luckily, we have a good team and we have some good leaders within other departments, and we recovered very quickly. I didn't interrupt my vacation. I didn't have to drive back to the office.
But it hurt.
So when you hire a VA, there's no office drama. There's not one person saying, hey, I'm mad, I'm going to quit. So, and then if you do let somebody go, nowadays we're in a very, everybody wants to sue everybody. As soon as you fire somebody, it's, oh, he did this or he did that situation. You don't have to worry about that with VAs.
It's unbelievable. It's a game-changing epiphany that most people need to go through to learn and get to that next level of scale. So here's a couple of things.
Can I add one thing real quick?
Yes.
One thing real quick. So this was something that was frustrating me with our company and it's something we implemented recently was we have meetings with all of our staff every Monday, and we weren't doing it with our VAs, and they're very important. We talk to them all the time. So now my sister, who's one of the leaders on our product and data side, she's having a meeting with them every single Tuesday, and making sure that we're all aligned. And core values is like one of the big things that I took from you. So I'm re-looking at every single employee in our operation, VAs or not, and I'm really going to stick to what you said. Like, that was a big thing I took from you, and thank you very much for that.
The core values is, you're welcome. The core values is the most important. I mean, you got to be, for us, it's like sense of urgency. Like, if you're not totally on it, you have to have good skills, right? You have to have good, skills. Like, if you type 5 words a minute, or 5, whatever it is, 5 words a minute? Like, I typed, the other day I did a typing test because I wanted to see.
Let me guess. I would say 35.
I was at 27.
Okay.
But I made 26 mistakes, so my effective rate was 0. That's why I have to get out of this. Like, I'm so slow. So we just make sure you got, sense of urgencies there. You've got somebody that works hard. We want somebody that's going to go the extra mile. If 5 o'clock hits, and there's an important job that needs to be done, are you willing to go the extra mile for the company? So you have to just clearly define what's important to you. What are the core values that are important to you? And then, because again, if you don't have the right personality, and you're going to be frustrated.
Right, I agree.
So you got to work together. So clearly define the core values, and it makes it a lot easier.
There's some of these questions that don't pertain to what our content matter is, and we probably have another 10 minutes or so. We could go another hour, honestly, because this is great. And I'd like to get deeper into your story, but it sounds like I didn't get to watch Steve Tring's anything that you've done with. I won't go there. Where can people find you if they have a question that we're not going to go over today?
So if you find me on Instagram at Real Estate Matt, 2 T's on Matt.
So Real Estate Matt, Instagram, DM you there if you have questions, right? And you'll get back to them. Okay, great. So here's a couple of questions just to plant some seeds, and I'll tell these people, hey, some of these are off topic. What kind of contract is used to lock up apartments under contract? Regular purchase contract?
Yeah, you can use the same ones.
Love it. That's my answer to everything.
So you're just writing in different terms.
Yeah.
Right.
It's no different, guys.
I get that question all the time, and we did a subject to where Brent Daniel sent me a lead. He goes, hey, will you take this subject too? We go down to Casa Grande. Both Alejandra and myself forgot a contract, and we ended up doing the contract on a McDonald's napkin while we were sitting there at McDonald's. It doesn't matter what the contract is; it just matters what's written on it.
Right.
So that's a quick answer there.
Can I say one thing really
please.
quick? But again, you're not going to get to the point where you're working 5 hours a week and flipping 20 houses a month.
This is yours.
By doing I set all that up. I have systems in place. I don't buy any of the houses. I'm not involved.
Right.
So my team there was checks and balances. So my team makes the offers. First, they're the ones that drive the leads. The leads come in. They screen the leads. They decide which leads are the best ones to follow through on. They then one person hands it up. Now it's handed off to the acquisitions guy. He's the one that takes the lead from the lead manager to say, hey, this is what the most we can pay. The acquisitions guy makes the offers and has to get that accepted. And then once it's accepted, it has to, that hands off to if we're going to rehab it, hands off to the project manager that walks through it, says this is what the rehab is. And then if at the end we're not going to make X amount, we don't buy the house.
Right.
So all that whole system is automated. I'm not involved at all.
Right. Okay, so Eric Sage asked this question a little bit ago, but what is your number one goal in 2020? Less than a minute. What do you got?
Less than a minute. My number one goal is to so let me back up real quick. So my 2019 goal was to get to the point where I'm at right now. 2020 is now to grow it from there. So I'd like to average about 40 house sales per month in 2020. Now we have some work to do to make that happen, but
Speaking of systems, in order to do that goal for 2020, what's the next addition, the next hire, the next system? What is that you need to take in the next quarter?
So in the next quarter, we have the acquisition piece nailed. We can ramp up that and pull more leads. It's the labor on rehabbing. It's construction. That's the next bottleneck we got to get through.
Is that a hire? Maybe another project manager? Is it?
It's probably another project manager that runs project managers. Because right now we have your person gets busy. If you're running like the top gal, I have actually a woman that runs my project managers, and she's a freaking rock star. She's outperformed any guy that I've had in that job because she's so damn organized. She runs like 3 or 4 project managers, and that's about as much as one person can do. So I think we have to start another person that manages other project managers.
So everybody wants to know your email real quick.
mlarson@easystreetprops.com.
Got it. Okay, what were you gonna say, Jesse?
I was just gonna say the whole point is like there's layers. Like with acquisition reps or with any person in any company, you need to find the capacity of your superstar and then start hiring those superstars for that same role. And then eventually there's layers. So you may have to have a manager managing these people.
Correct. But again, you find a rock star that's got all the core values, that's proven in the company, that's been there a year or two. Let them hire it. Now they want to move that person into a new role because we like to promote within.
As do we.
Yeah. So let them hire their replacement because they're not going to want to let you down. They're not going to want to say, "Hey, I moved in this spot. The person I hire sucks and it's terrible, and that division's collapsing."
So the thing we just did is we're having our disposition manager hiring our acquisition guys now because they have to work intimately together. And he's the one that's saying, okay, yeah, this is where we need it at. So going back to the core value thing, we're going to identify what we're looking for, what type of person, and then he's going to sit there and go hire somebody because he has to like who he's working
100%.
with.
He's going to train them.
Correct, exactly.
It's interesting. There's guys on here that have been following me for a year, and I talk about VAs and we talk about it, but this was a really good in-depth, a little bit more surface level. I'm getting guys saying, I didn't know a lot of this about VAs, really, really good value there. So just FYI. Creative Crush Crew saying, what are the top qualities that you find most important when hiring a VA?
It depends on you. It depends on your values.
Yeah. So there's a few things that probably translate no matter what. One of the things for me is sense of urgency. Same. I don't know about you guys.
No,
your personalities are very similar to mine. When I want something, I want something. And when your customers want something,
right.
We live in the world of Amazon now. One click order and the thing's here on a Sunday.
100%.
The Amazon has raised the bar on customer service, and either we jump in and make that happen, or you get left behind. People are upset now if it takes 15, 20 minutes, an hour to get back to you. How many times you text somebody, and you're like, hey, this person hasn't texted me back. It's been 20 minutes, and you're irritated, right? Well, I still remember days before cell phones. Like I'm 44 years old. I remember those days. So. We live in that world. So for me, sense of urgency is job one. If I can take somebody that gets that, I can teach them. So I can turn that person into a rock star.
Love it.
Agree 100%.
They obviously, with that sense of urgency and response, and you send them a task and they need to get it done. If they mess the whole thing up and it's crap work, okay, so we have to have a conversation about that. But if they're fast at responding, that's job one.
And I was kind of off camera talking to you about the importance of customer service and making sure, because what happened was everybody tried to automate everything for the last 5 to 10 years and take away that human interaction. Mm-hmm. And now I think it's came back full circle to where it's like we are high on our products and services. I mean, I'm trying to overstaff to make sure that these people are gotten back to, this phone call is answered. Like people, they don't have patience anymore. And we want to be that go-to company. And my sister yesterday said, 2 people yesterday said, we go with you because your customer service. I've never had someone call me about skip tracing and asking how it went for them and if there's anything we could help them with. They're like, those are the type of people
Yeah.
that I want to give my business to.
Customer service. So here's the thing: is customer service reps, people in customer service, typically are not the highest paid people, but they're the most important people in your company.
100%.
They're the face, the conversation to you. They're the link to your customers. So it's tough. The customer service world's tough because typically most people are not hiring the top people for customer service. It's just that's how we run our businesses, right?
It's important.
But it is so important, and that communication piece is so important. So we do daily huddles.
As do we.
Yeah, so every morning our customer service team meets with the manager, and they do role playing, talk about scripts, talk about anything that went wrong the day before. How do we resolve that next time? What did you learn from it?
Yep.
And so we do that every day.
Matt, I've got 1 minute and 20 seconds left on my IG live.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, I'm going to give you 1 minute. I'm going to exit out with 20 seconds on the IG live, and we can continue on the regular stuff. There's no Matt Larsons watching this show. And what I mean by that is most of the people watching the show are new and are trying to get to Matt Larson's level of productivity and efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a regular business owner, in 30 seconds, what's my first step for taking myself out of that business?
Get up every morning. Take one thing that you do every morning. Document every single process on how you do what that one thing is. Hand it off to a VA.
Love it.
Next day, repeat.
So good.
Yep.
So guys, this is Matt Larson. Follow him on Instagram. Reach out to his email. If you need his email, say it one more time, Matt.
mlarson@easystreetprops.com.
Love it. Jesse?
Sorry. Jesse Burrell is my Instagram, JESSEBURREL.
Awesome. Hey guys, so this is Saturday Mornings with Pace and Jesse. We're going to be doing this every Saturday morning. We've got a bunch of episodes already stacked up. Watch out for these episodes coming out on YouTube. Thanks, guys. So appreciate that, by the way, especially having a camera right in your face the whole
Yeah.
time. I'm holding my phone like this, and you're
I'm trying to look at you. And
you're like, what the hell is this guy doing?
So are we done with this then?
I think what we do is yours is going to end too, at least on the live.
Yeah.
I'd like to know on your side. You can unclip it. It's no big deal. Because Bobby can edit all the rest of the
done,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, let's be done.
Awesome. Okay,
Bobby,
cool.
we're done.